Hello, and thank you for joining us on the Sunday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakum. Today on the program, Defense Minister says Nigeria's biggest threat is not Boko Haram, bandits or IPOB, but food insecurity as bandits confiscate Army's armored vehicle in Zamfara State. Attorney General Malami says federal government not ruling out political solution on Kanu Igboho, as S-Sans tell government to be quick about it. And later on the show, governors attack National Assembly members as direct primary disagreement worsen. I'll be hanging out with Mayor Akipelu and Adekunle Yusuf, while Babajide Kolade Otoju will join us from our Abuja studio. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. We'll start journalist hangout on Sunday today by paying tribute to a senior officer of the Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Zaman Zakusu, who died in a battle with members of the Islamic State of West African Province, ISWAP. The army confirmed that the general and other officers were killed in an ambush by ISWAP fighters in Askira-Uba, Borno State. We pray for the repose of their soul. Gentlemen, this is actually very, very sad again.
Yeah, it is very sad, very, very sad. And I also join other Nigerians in not only mourning but praying for the repose of his soul. You see, when you fight terrorism, it's not an 100 meters dash; it's a marathon.
Yes.
You achieve a lot of successes, but eventually they will come back because it is an unending war. Even America that has all the forces, could not. You can't
actually
really
a brigadier general.
It's a brigadier general, yes. Yeah. And you know, ambush is the most difficult thing for soldiers because the attack comes from nowhere, and you can't do anything. The only thing you do in an ambush is just to keep moving so that you can break that ambush. So it's very sad because in that particular axis, the Nigerian military have achieved they've recorded a lot of success recently, you know, and so much so that ISWAP have lost their leader and the successor. But you know, it's a very sad thing because that means that the problem surrounding they are losing their leader, it seems they're getting over it. And they've resumed the attack, which is very scary.
I think sometimes we even have inside connivance with all these ambushes that we see, because we've seen situations whereby, you know, we've had to lose so many of our men like this in the same similar scenario.
Yes, you can't rule that out. You know, there are always bad eggs in every organization, and but don't forget that this Boko Haram thing, you have sympathizers even among the civil populace. It's so sad, but that's the truth.
No, ongoing spaces that you have around the northeast.
Within our security agencies, you still have sympathizers. Don't forget that a president once said that even in his cabinet, he has sympathizers of Boko Haram. You get my point? So I wish you. So it's unfortunate, but it has happened, you know. But what do? We just have to forge ahead because we must win this war. When you look at what has happened so far, the Nigerian army lately is having upper hand over Boko Haram. That I can guarantee. You know, and they've been making a lot of, you know, success recently. And when this happens, it's going to be a bad news too. You know, but the truth is that
especially at the level of a brigadier,
this is not a small rank.
Yes.
If you lose,
when you lose a general,
a senior army personnel like this, it's a very, very sad news to those who are in the trenches, and you just have to, you know, summon the courage and, you know, boost their morale. Something has to be done about it.
Babajide, I saw this breaking news on your timeline. Please, can you shed more light to the entire thing? What actually happened?
Actually, Boko Haram fighters came to Askira-Uba local government some days back, set people's houses ablaze, and also attack civilians. They were effectively dealt with by Nigerian soldiers, and out of anger, they launched a more ferocious attack on the army base in Askira Uba. You will recall that I talked about the attack on the Askira Uba on Thursday on this program. So it was in the desire of the ISWAP guys to exact revenge that they went back to Askira Uba and attacked the army base. Now, if you look at the number of trucks that they brought, including armored personnel carriers, you will see that it was necessary for reinforcement to come to save that army base from the Boko Haram fighters. So he is the brigade commander of 28th Task Force. He was the brigade commander. Ordinarily, a soldier of that rank should never get involved in battle. That is what they are told. Even at the level of their training schools at NDA, you cannot get involved in battle. You stay in the background, read the battle, and then give instructions. Norman Schwarzkopf never went to the war front during the first Gulf War. But I guess this excellent officer was under pressure, so he was leading others to come and rescue his colleagues who were being attacked, to save the army base from, to take that army base from the ISWAP fighters. So usually what they do is, they know that you are going to send reinforcement, so they will lay in wait. They will ambush the reinforcement that you are sending. They will be by the roadside, hide themselves, and then attack that reinforcement team. This is a strategy that ISWAP has used repeatedly against our troops. Most of the soldiers that we have lost in the last 5 years, we have lost them to ambushes. So this is what happened. It is not right for a general to get involved in a battle. I'm surprised that this happened, because they are at their level as a brigade commander, 20th Task Force, he shouldn't have been involved. He should have been in the background providing the strategies that they will use. So it's unfortunate that he got involved in this fight, and we have lost him. He's one of the best officers. He was one of the best officers in the army, who had served in virtually every part of this country, served in Akwa Ibom, served in Edo State, served in so many places. So it's unfortunate that we've lost an excellent officer of that stature.
Because why I agree that it's so unfortunate.
And if you ask people, they love him so much because he was not just an officer, but a tremendous gentleman.
Thank you, Jide, for that clarification.
That this kind of mistake will not happen again. A general of that stature does not
because
get involved.
It's not something we hear every day.
Yes, that's why I said one major mistake that was made was that, like you said, in battle, the general, the commander, is more important than the foot soldiers.
Yes.
That is why you put the commander in the barracks or in the tactical headquarters. The job of the commander is to lay out how you are going to do that battle and give instructions. You know, tactically, you are not supposed, because you are just one extra person. You are not supposed to be in that field.
You hear of a lot of major, you hear of a lot of captains, leading,
because
this
they're doing leading platoon. But the overall commander, in any war, from Napoleon Bonaparte to Adolf Hitler, in any war, the general stays in the tactical command, thinking about, this is how we are going to attack. This is the strategy we are going to use. This is the flank we are going to move into. You understand? But it stays there because when you capture the commander, the battle is lost. You understand? The battle is lost. So it's a very great mistake for us to allow a brigade commander to be in front. When you know naturally that when a base is being attacked and you are sending reinforcements, there will be ambush. It's the normal thing in warfare.
We pray that God Almighty will grant the family of General Zaman Zikiso the fortitude to bear this big loss.
The national loss.
It was a big loss. The big loss. The whole Army General, Brigadier General for them. All right. From financial cybercrime to job scams, Nigerians contend with fraudsters bent on milking them on their hard-earned money. Such scams are also making inroads into the church. A YouTuber, Israel Balogun, has filed a suit against the founder of Omega Fire Ministry, Apostle Suleiman Johnson, over his arrest and illegal detention in a fundamental human rights enforcement suit filed by his counsel, Inibehi Efyong. Balogun is asking the courts to order the pastor to pay him 500 million naira as damages for detention and violation of his fundamental human rights. Trouble started when Balogun was accused of criticizing Pastor Suleiman over claims that he commanded angels to send and deposit miracle money into the bank account of some worshippers. I saw this some months back. There was a gathering in somewhere outside the country, and there was another gathering somewhere in Nigeria, and when they got to a stage, the pastor actually asked people to bring out their phone and check for the alerts that angels and hosts of heaven would have credited their accounts, and people were jumping up, and some were even giving testimonies, and that angels of heaven, God seconded his angels to wrought that miracle. I believe in miracle. And Balogun, a YouTuber, came out to criticize this, and Apostle Suleiman got him arrested, and he spent some days.
You see, part of the problem we have in Nigeria is this elite problem. There's crime everywhere. You won't see the police in the streets, but you will see a lot of policemen following big men all over the place, doing traditional put things for them. The problem is that Pastor Suleiman has the right to say whatever he likes. If members of his congregation are so stupid to believe that angels in heaven, there's one man that has direct line to God, and his angels in heaven, and they will now command them to ceremony. If some idiots can believe that, that is their problem. So Pastor Suleiman has any right to take his members of the congregation for a ride. But the problem is that if anybody now sits somewhere and decides to criticize him on that, if he doesn't like that criticism, he's supposed to approach the court. But what we have in Nigeria is that big men in Nigeria use the Nigerian police to settle personal scores. There's no criminal offense in criticizing Pastor Suleiman for what he has said. It's a civil case. So using the police to detain somebody because we didn't like what he said, it's not right. We used to do that a lot. With this big manism in Nigeria where, and it's so shameful, it's so sad that the Nigerian police allow themselves to be used. Any big man can call somebody up and say, I want to deal with this person.
Okay,
and
let's quickly take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more on this miracle alert. We saw it all around the internet. Come back. Don't get it twisted. I believe in miracle, and I believe with signs and wonders, and but when it gets to this level, the Balogun man was criticized Apostle Suleiman. Apostle Suleiman used the Nigerian police, and he was detained. And we saw our friend Inibe trying to get the bail the first night. He didn't get the bail. It took the second night. This man is coming to claim damages. I don't know this story.
You see, I think something is wrong with us in Nigeria. The way the level we are taking religious to. I saw one video about some days ago, one pastor preaching, and he wanted to do miracles, what they call miracles. He asked one person that remove this shoe. My leg, remove this issue. That you want to travel to so place. Now saying, remove this issue. Your passport is there. The visa is there.
I saw that video.
Did you see?
I saw that video. Yes, and I saw the passport.
When I saw him
removing
manifested
from his shoe.
I said,
I'm sure.
Please, This is moronic. What kind of God is that? One pastor, church members who probably are paying tithes, you must have their account number. Your organization or whatever, you must have their account number. All of a sudden,
if it's your church,
angels from heaven crediting people with funds. Believe me, it's pure crap. Let me tell you, the same church, the same pastor is here in Nigeria. We are here live on the program. We are not part of his church. Let those angels, those philanthropic angels, credit a lot of each of us.
There's nothing like that. It's idiotic.
It's pure
That's
idiotic.
what poverty does. What poverty
Stupidity.
does. When you are poor, it influences your way of reasoning. And that is why, if you notice, you
believe
see
everything.
that.
Okay, let me cross over to Abuja. Let me just even ask, maybe Jide will speak on behalf of Apostle Suleiman. Let me see. Jide is a Christian. Jide might decide to, enlighten us on what might cause this miracle.
The idea of using the police to harass people in this manner, the police will get self-embarrassed if it continues to listen to big people, if it continues to do the bidding of big people by arresting individuals who disagreed verbally with such big people. I mean, there are excesses. Clerics promising all kinds of things that we know are just downright falsehood. People reserve the right to criticize them. I mean, you cannot, if somebody criticizes your methods, you can't then use the police to harass such a person and detain that person without charge. It's wrong. And that's why I support the idea of this fellow going to court, so that the police can learn from this. For too long, big people in our country have been oppressing the weak, using the police. You can hardly get justice against a big man in our country. How do we then build a great country, a country that we can all be proud of, if it's the big people alone that can be sure that they will get justice at any point? So all that Pastor Suleiman needed to do was explain himself and probably look at himself in the mirror and try to make changes. But to use the police to harass someone, as a way of forcing other people to not criticize you when they have reason to, is wrong. And I support the idea of taking this matter to court.
All right. Moving on now. For the Federal University Lokoja in Kogi State, it has been a quantum leap from its humble beginning to 10 years ago to its present status in terms of academic and infrastructural development. Yesterday, the university held its 5th convocation ceremony for 804 graduates, 14 of which backed first class and 188 second class upper. Let's give you this story.
The Federal University Lokoja was established in 2011. A decade after, the tertiary institution has earned itself a reputation of excellence and is now one of the leading universities in the region. Congratulations. This convocation ceremony was a time to take stock and also confer honorary awards on people who have significantly contributed to nation building. You have our visiting vice chancellors. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Olayemi Akinwumi, commended the graduating students for their resilience and interest in acquiring a university degree. He said 188 students graduated with second class upper, 441 with second class lower, while 95 students have third class. A total of 804 students graduated from the institution.
Graduation and admission of fresh candidates. The university has maintained a stable academic calendar, which I believe is one of the motivating factors that have inspired many candidates to choose Federal University Lokoja as their university of most preferred. In 2019-2020 academic session, which I inherited, we received over 2,600 applications and only 1,500 was to be admitted based on our limited current capacity. In view of the above, on Thursday, 22nd April 2021, I led a delegation of management to the NUC and JAM. This was in our desire to increase the student population, achieve key milestones as contained in the university academic brief, and improve on our internally generated revenue. Go back to
A renowned professor of history, Toyin Falola, was honored with a doctoral degree. The school orator described Professor Falola as the tree of knowledge. He is a professor of African history at the University of Texas in the United States of America. The Pro-Chancellor and other dignitaries commended the accomplishments of the institution within a decade. They also called for improved security within the school premises.
Work hard, be kind to yourselves, and watch amazing things happen. We are comforted that the well-structured programs of this university, which are designed to prepare you for industry, self-reliance, and motivation, will see you through the vicissitudes of life outside the confines of the university campus. Do not forget that you bear the torchlight of this university, and therefore you must strive to make the institution proud in all aspects of your daily dealings.
As we speak, our land is being encroached daily by the local communities, and we have myriad of litigations against us by those communities over ownership of the land of the university. Your Excellency, sir, there are a lot of opportunities of funding and provision of infrastructure by federal government agencies that Federal University Lokoja cannot access because of lack of CSO. Developments at the federal at Falale campus permanent site cannot be effective without adequate resources.
The convocation ceremony was the fifth conducted since the university was established in February 2011, and it is the first conducted by Professor Olayemi Akinwumi as the third substantive vice-chancellor of the institution.
On behalf of the university, our goodwill message is here contained. Congratulations.
Federal University Lokoja. Let me, Jiri, what's the significance of this school? And for the first time, this will be their fifth convocation ceremony with 804 graduates and 14 back yes, a first class and 188 a second class upper.
Yes, it underlines the determination of the management of this school to continue the trajectory of progress that the school has come to be identified with. I visited the campus of the university, and the truth is there is a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of giving the university a facelift, good roads, a good network of roads, and all that. It is one of those federal universities that Goodluck Jonathan created. It will need consistent funding over a long period to make it rise to the level of some universities in our country. But they have a fantastic VC now, a tremendous academic, a scholar, an international scholar who had worked abroad before coming home to serve his country, and he knows what needs to be done to ensure that the university is on a high pedestal in terms of quality of graduates and all that. So they are on the right path. I'm sure that by the time they have their second convocation under the leadership of Professor Olaimide Rotimi Akinwumi, things will have improved.
Mayor, it's not the number of these universities that actually matters, but we discovered that this funding, when you see those federal universities that were built in the 60s, the IFES, the UI, the University of Lagos, the structural, the everything, you could see the richness, you could see the architectural framework around the campus and everything. I doubt if any government can start a new university and bequeath such edifices to
it's part of it has to do with the way things are now in the country. We have to start by saying that the government does not allocate enough money for the education ministry. We don't value education the way we used to do. So there's lack of funding. And a lot of these universities are not up to the required standard. But it's a catch-22 situation. The government has to establish this university to be able to accommodate a lot of our youths that we are churning out every time. It's obvious that the existing university could not cope with the influx of the number of students that desire higher education. So it's a catch-22 situation. What we hope for is that these universities will be able to find a way of supplementing whatever they get from government. Because the VC said part of the things they were able to achieve was the internally generated thing. You know, a lot of the universities can go into consultancies and be able to do a lot of things that will be able to generate money for them. But you see, we cannot expect them to meet the standards of the old university, because at that time there were a lot of funding. For example, the time of University of Ife, you know, the corner piece of Western government at that time was education. You understand? So it's understandable that they will allocate a lot of money to be able to have a first-class university. Ditto for Ahmadu Bello, ditto for Nsukka. But now the government does not have enough resources to be able to equip this university to the standards that they should be. But we'll get there.
Your auditorium, your Senate building, adequately.
Don't forget that the quality of leadership we had, you know, at that time is not the same today.
Yeah,
we are talking about visionary leaders who are truly selfless. Today, what we have, government, you see a lot of planning, you know, thinking beyond, you know, just announcing. But these days, government will just come up because they want to please certain principalities, want to balance geopolitical interests, they want to service political patronage, you know, all those things. So, at the end of the day, in a situation whereby you need to expand on what you have, they won't bother. They would rather create more. I don't know how many universities we have now. And whereas this is a government that is complaining of, you know, dwindling resources. You get my point? So when Goodluck Jonathan did it, he was just trying. The government then was saying it found out that it wanted all the states of the federation to have federal university. What's the thinking behind that?
Had the federal university
at the end of the day, it did first tranche. Other ones then completed it that every state in Nigeria will now have at least one federal university.
Really?
Of course, we need the youth. We know we need more space, but is that the best way we could do it without, you know, putting a lot of, you know, thinking into it? And if some of them are doing great, it means, you know, we have to credit the management.
All right, moving on now. Different impacts, different perspectives define the encounter we have with insecurity ravaging Nigeria. For the Minister of Defense, retired Major General Bashir Magashin, the country's biggest security threat is not Boko Haram, bandits, or members of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. Speaking at a function in Abuja, Magashi said the threat of national food security is the biggest in Nigeria. Meanwhile, a video of an armored vehicle confiscated by bandits in Zamfara State has surfaced on social media. Let's share this with you.
Hey, mo ida na the video who also told me. Dah nulis juga.
So that you understand the enormity of what we are facing here.
I do not agree with the Minister of Defense that food security is a larger threat than IPOB and Boko Haram and all that. It is the result of the activities of the bandits and Boko Haram that led to the kind of food insecurity that we have now. Because farmers, in the areas where they are most active, are the food basket of this country. You understand? And because of the activities of these bandits, our farmers are not allowed to go to farms. Sometimes they have to pay the bandits to even harvest their crops. So the level of activities of our farmers have gone down. That is what is leading to the food insecurity that we have. Yes, food insecurity is a very dangerous thing, but we have to solve the problem of bandits to be able to solve the problem of food insecurity. Because the food security is not because of weather or activities that people are no longer interested in farming. It is because those whose livelihood depends on farming are not allowed to earn a living because of the activities of these bandits. So the Minister of Defense should get focused and know that if we don't solve the problem of these bandits and the way they are not allowing our farmers to do what they are supposed to do, we will continue to have the problem of food insecurity.
I don't think anybody can go to the farm in where you have bandits dispossessing Nigerian army of the APC. You can't see any farmer around that place if that farmer wants to stay alive.
Oh my God. See, I know it predated this government, but in the Northeast, the major occupation of people in that part of the country is farming. But since this Boko Haram, crisis, the problem of farmers, you imagine Boko Haram going to the farm to kill people. Many of these not reported by the media. They go to villages, dislodge people. So believe me, what the defense minister, maybe what he was trying to do is, in communication with, that's what they call framing. Just to frame the issue in a different way. What Mayor said now is the real thing. Without insecurity, many farmers will gladly go to their, to do what they know how to do. But with, insecurity, many people. So without solving the problem of IPOB, solving the problem of all these ones you mentioned, Boko Haram, and the same government doesn't want us to say rising security. Rising security. It is rising insecurity that is leading to problems of food security, because an NGO just released a report recently. They said more than 2 million children in the Northeast are facing starvation. That's just a section of the country.
2 million.
Just more than 2 million children. You get my point? And you look at, in the International Red Cross, they also came up with a report about this. So these are not just opinion of anybody. These are people who are fully on the ground. So when you look beyond Boko Haram ravaged areas, come back to places like Plateau, Plateau, Benue, all those places. These are the parts of Nigeria that we rely on for food and farming.
Baskets of
you get me? But bandits all over. So the problem of banditry is bigger than the problem of food security. Because one is giving birth to another. It is inability to solve insecurity crisis that is giving birth to food problems.
Jide, do you agree with Major General Bashir Magashi saying that the country's biggest security threat is not all these insurgents, but the national food security is the biggest threat that we have right now?
No, I think people have misunderstood what the minister was trying to say. The minister was trying to say that we've got to address the problem of food security. Because the truth is, if things go on in this manner, we will be in trouble as a country. People are talking about the fact that a bag of rice, now a bag of beans now costs 103,000 naira. That same bag of beans earlier this year was being sold for about 50-something thousand, 60-something thousand. Within 2-3 months, it's gone to 103,000. It can't be because the naira has depreciated against the dollar. It is because the farming belts of our country are facing serious security problems. The food production belts of our country, talking about some states of the northwest, some states of the north central, and even parts of Taraba. Because Taraba is also, when it comes to food production, Taraba is also a state that has a very good reputation. But if we do not defeat insecurity, the food insecurity will get worse. The governor of Kaduna State had warned earlier that this food insecurity will result from our inability to defeat the bandits who are holding our people hostage and stopping our people from accessing their farms the way they will want. They are the ones imposing levies on people in places that they are in control of. Bandits are in control of some parts of Sokoto State now, some parts of Niger State. They are now imposing levies and taxation on people before you can access your farms. So there's no way that won't impact the price of food in the market, because we have seen even I think the Commissioner for Agric in Ondo State complain about the fact that they employ people to work on their plantations in Ondo State, only for kidnappers to come and pack those people away. So there are implications for the fact that Boko Haram and bandits are stopping our people from accessing their farms. I can tell you that Borno State alone can feed most of northern Nigeria with rice, just as it can supply most of northern Nigeria with fish. But the insecurity makes it difficult. Marte, for example, Marte local government is a place where you can grow rice in sufficient quantity, but how many people can access Marte? The bulk of those areas is the terrorists that are still running rampant. 50% of Borno North and Borno Central are still inhabited by the terrorists. This is a fact. So how do we maximize the opportunity to farm in those areas? So I think, because I read that story to the end, he eventually made his point clear that there's a need to defeat these guys so that the bigger problem of hunger does not envelop the rest of us. I think that was the point I wanted to make. Maybe the way he made it was confusing to the journalists at the event.
So now we have a clearer picture now.
Yes, we have a clearer picture. We all agree, that it is the effect of the bandits. There is the activities of the bandits that's making it difficult for people to access their farms. Yeah. You understand? And I agree that food insecurity is a very major problem. It's a very major problem. But it is cause and effect. We have to look for the cause, not the effect. The effect is the high prices that we see in the market. But the cause is that bandits are not allowing farmers to access their farms. Those who could access their farms, they are being forced to pay levy to the bandits. So in demand and supply, when people could not access their farms, it will affect their output. And when it affects their output, that means there are less food that you are going to bring to those who want to buy it.
Demand.
So, and because the demand now is much, much higher than the supply, price will go up. It's a basic law of economics.
Part of what I think the minister was talking about, a lot of displacement has happened in many parts of Nigeria, the food belt of Nigeria. That's one thing we should address. And I'm happy his defense minister, he should know the government needs to do more. If you know, without solving this problem, this is what will happen. Nobody wants that, and I think he doesn't want it too. The government needs to do more in their efforts to solve, insecurity problems. It's really, 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 necessary.
And how do you do when you get this?
Another thing that another point I want to make is that to look at the food insecurity more, the activities of the bandits is getting scary. The other time, they shut down an Alpha jet. Now they can take an APC from our soldiers. I know that I have to commend the Nigerian military. They are doing the best they can. We have to face that. It is not easy for you to be fighting on all fronts. One of the basic laws of warfare is that you don't fight on all fronts. But because of the situation we found ourselves in, the Nigerian army is being forced to fight on all fronts. While they are facing Boko Haram in the northeast, they are facing bandits. They are facing bandits in the northwest and the north central. They are facing APOB in the southeast. They are all over. So one, they are overstretched, and things like this could happen. Bandits could ambush people and collect APC from them. But it's a very bad development. Because if they can take APC from our soldiers, then there's no guarantee of security within that environment where that happens. So going to farms does not arise. Those who access their farms will have to pay levy to these people, and it will affect the production and it will affect the price of food.
This is showing capacity to a large extent when you can disarm the Nigerian army of the APC, and it shows that you can't continue to refer to these people as a ragtag.
No, they are not. They are not ragtag, and I believe the government knows that they are not. These guys are not ragtags. The government should know.
They know
because yes, I believe that the government knows that these guys are not ragtags. But why the government is unwilling to actually label them as terrorists, it's only government that can explain that. And over the years, we'll be talking about it. The government doesn't see them as. And you see some clerics, some people, even some in government, the way they talk about bandits, you wonder that you appease them, you do amnesty for them, some saying all sorts of things that you wonder, are you saying criminality? It's okay.
I think like people like Gomi. Gomi are looking at it from a social angle. They believe that some youths, because of deprivation and other things that have happened in society, have decided to take to criminality. And that the best way to handle that problem is for us to see how we can accommodate them. that circumstances compel them to become criminals, and that if we accommodate them, maybe they will change. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
In Katsina State,
I don't agree with that.
Some of those rehabilitated by government. One of them was arrested again recently.
Because when you are a criminal,
a leopard will change its
you are a criminal.
Yes.
You will not change. Because until two things. Either you are made to account for your criminality by being arrested and brought to justice, or there's no more attraction to that business. But when bandits continue to kidnap people and collect ransom, they will do that job because it is profitable to them.
So if you bring them from the bush or wherever they hide and give them employment, it will not look as lucrative as the one they've been enjoying. So we saw the experience of what happened in Katsina, and I was so happy that those who are calling for ransom or whatever, or amnesty for criminals, because that's the way I say bandits, that we must never listen to them, because that's not what they deserve.
Yeah.
People, you have ruined many people's lives, you have killed many people, you have done all sorts of crimes. Then when you do crimes, you must serve the time. We should try it then.
All right, Babajide, what's your perspective on this?
Well, I think that we've got to realize that some elements of Boko Haram have already gone to the northwest. True. Some of them are in the north central, in Niger State. There are those who continue to deceive themselves that Boko Haram has not been able to move beyond the northeast. We sympathize with such people because ignorance can sometimes cause people to be illogical. When the students of government secondary school, Kankara and Katsina State, were kidnapped, it was clear that it was Shekau that financed the abduction of those students. And the first picture, the internet does not lie, the first picture of those boys in captivity was actually released by Abubakar Shekau. We have had the governor of Niger State announce to us that Boko Haram was present in the state and have even occupied some communities in the Shiroro area. So if we are seeing capability, if we are seeing increasing ambushes and killing of policemen and soldiers in the manner that Boko Haram had been accustomed to, then it is because some of these elements have come in. Some of the money made from abduction of people across the country is now being used to finance the insurgency. That is why recently, I think the DSS came up with a security report indicating that ISWAP men came all the way from the islands of Lake Chad to somewhere near Abuja to have a meeting with a bandit leader. So if we are having this kind of collaboration between bandits and Boko Haram elements in the desire to make money that through abductions and then use the money to finance the insurgency, then we've got to be more careful. We've got to push sentiments aside, stop deceiving ourselves that Boko Haram is present only in the northeast, and focus on how we can defeat them. Identify the bandit leaders affiliated to Boko Haram and then take them out. Because these ones clearly have training. It's not anybody who can jump into an armored vehicle and start driving it. Yeah. These ones have weapons handling training, and they are demonstrating it as we are seeing in this picture. We have to up our game. Our people are suffering. Our people are suffering as a result of the telco services that have been scrapped in some parts of the north. But these bandits are already improving their game. According to Senator Marafa, one bandit even announced that he now uses a Turaya.
Satellite phone.
So it means that we have to be more decisive. We have to take the battle to these guys and win the battle. We've supported the army. We deserve a lot more. That's the point that I want to make.
Okay, so on the final analysis now, we have a common enemy. We know what we should face.
Yes,
Northeast.
Yes, like Jude said, we must acknowledge the fact that the Boko Haram elements, especially the ISWAP part of it, a lot of them they have a working relationship with bandits, the so-called bandits now, and the idea is to earn money to be able to, because you remember that part of the problem that Shekau had was that ISWAP is affiliated to ISIS, so they could get funding directly from ISIS. Other elements have to look for ways to generate money to be able to buy the kind of ammunition they're buying from Libya. And that is why kidnapping was a major tool for them, because they collect huge amount of money as ransom, which they now use to buy equipment. So we have to acknowledge the fact that the fight against terrorism is now more complex, because a lot of the people, so-called bandits, are more or less terrorists or associates of terrorist organizations. So it's a major problem. And if we don't solve that problem, we can't solve the problem of food insecurity, because the full belt of Nigeria, a lot of our people cannot access their farms because of activities of these bandits.
Adekunle, now how does this group IPOB fit into all this narrative now?
To me, when you look IPOB, if you see what is happening in Igbo land, you will know that they feel into the narrative in the sense that when there is insecurity, everything will be affected.
Banks
not just
working,
not just only farming, everything will be affected. So when the economy is grounded, life becomes something else. So government needs to do more, and I keep saying it. Government needs to do more. They've done and tried, but it is not good enough. Until they win the war against insurgents, bandits, and all kinds of criminals in our country, we will be having more and more problems, and we shouldn't wait that time.
Julie, finally, your take on this?
Yes, I still believe that we need to invest a lot more on equipment. It's churning news that we are seeing some equipment from China, although there are often issues with some of the equipment that they sell to us in terms of their durability, but we need a lot more. I've always talked about the need for ground attack helicopters. Ground attack helicopters with night fighting capability. If we have a good number of them, people won't be talking about the Tucanos as if it's only Tucanos that can win you a war. There are countries that have won wars without even using Tucano. These bandits, the language they understand, the justice that is best for them is the justice served by the ground attack helicopters, the Mi-35P, the killing machine of the Nigerian Air Force, which provides close air support for surface troops, is still the best, in my view, to win this war. We need to get a lot more helicopters. I say this because I have read a lot about Cambodia. The Cambodians have relied extensively on ground attack helicopters because they deliver to you the kind of results that fighter planes do not even give you. So this is the thing. Let's invest more on them and motivate our soldiers a lot more, and let's come up with the right strategies, because the bandits are also upgrading. So we need to upgrade. We need to upgrade.
To add to that, fighter jets, the duty of the fighter basically is to soften up the opponent. When you have ground attack, it is attack helicopters that is more effective. It is closer. It can be able to give back up to the soldiers. Then you'll be able to. It's easier to attack your opponents. The jet, because of the distance, can only soften up those people for you. You still need to use ground troops to solve the problem.
All right, joining us via Zoom for more insight on this discussion is an Abuja-based security expert, Emeka Oreotoka. Thank you for joining us. He's an advocate on anonymous mail in crime reports. Thank you, Emeka. Thank you for joining us. Yes, Emeka, are you there? Emeka is not there yet, and we know what if we have peace in the northeast, we have peace in all over the country, investors can come, investments, things will start happening. Development cannot happen where there is insecurity. So even something that is meant to be as basic as food, because any country that you don't have food security, look at the prices of what we've been buying.
When you read our constitution, the primary purpose of a government is what? Is to provide security. That's their first job. Any government that fails in that, no matter the level of infrastructure or whatever you are able to do, will become meaningless. We need to solve this problem of insecurity.
Okay.
And those in government, have we got him?
Yes, my guest is there. Emeka, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Yes, Emeka, I want you to react to what the Minister of Defense said, that the bigger problem we have here is food insecurity.
Hello.
Yes, Emeka.
Yeah. Hello, thank you for having me.
All right, please go ahead.
Yeah. The minister's statement, if I read it correctly, it's not saying the truth, or he got it mixed up altogether. There's direct correlation between insecurity and food insecurity. If there's insecurity, there will be food insecurity. That's for sure. So it's the best thing Mayor Akinkwelu has said, and Jide too, solve the security problem, and then there will be food security. It is the insecurity that is causing food insecurity. And add to that, the galloping rate of inflation in the country is another point that is causing food insecurity. So it's totally wrong. If the minister says so, it's totally wrong for him to tell Nigerians that the worst crisis we are going through is food insecurity. Food insecurity, yes, but it's the insecurity generally in the country that's causing it. I think that's my take on that. And then the insecurity, the problem of insecurity. Hello?
Yes.
Go on.
Go on, Emeka.
The problem of insecurity cannot be solved by just kick and follow style, by military style. You have to involve the citizenry in finding solution to insecurity in Nigeria. What is happening in Nigeria had happened in the Philippines before. And under the presidency of Ramon Magsaysay, he solved this not through only military campaign, but through involving the citizens, all citizens of Philippines, in the fight to retrieve the country from hook gorilla. Exactly what is happening now. What we are facing in Nigeria now is insurgency. Deliberate attempt by people to subvert the government and overthrow a consistent authority. That is what is happening now. But it's having different names, banditry, kidnapping, and all this. But everything points to insurgency. And the only way the country, the president, can effectively solve this problem is to involve the citizens in a more protective manner. And we in our organization are engaging in campaign on that. The citizens must be involved. Don't leave the fight against insecurity to the security agencies alone. They cannot do it.
Emeka, I agree with you that one of the ways we can solve the problem is for us to involve the citizens. But we have to be careful not to go the Duterte way, because one of the things Duterte did is that he allowed like a vigilante group that caused a lot of extrajudicial killings. And you know, when things like that happen, some people can use it to settle scores. So I don't think that it's a better way for us to go through a structured vigilante group like Amotekun and the other groups, refine them, get them more involved in government so that they will be able to assist government to solve crimes within their own geopolitical zone.
What I'm saying, what I'm trying to advocate is not for it will not lead to extrajudicial killing or what have you. I'm saying if Nigerians, everybody, including the police, the army, the civilians, everybody is involved in security in a protective and secured manner, whereby citizens can turn in information gathering, if citizens can turn in intelligence to the police, to the army in a protective manner. You understand? They will not do their job. That's what I'm trying to put across.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
Yeah, we are with you.
Hello?
We are with you.
Okay.
Yeah. The citizens, what I'm saying is that, you know now, to offer intelligence on insecurity to the police or to the military, the Nigerians may not want to do so because of the problem involved, confidentiality hazard, and then the problem of trust. But once we devise a strategy that will allow citizens to turn in intelligence on insecurity without, in a secured manner, everything about insecurity in Nigeria will fizzle out.
Okay, I would like to add that, for example, Boko Haram, some of these criminals who use religious sentiments to do whatever they want to do. Don't you think that there are some sympathizers of Boko Haram within the civil populace, security agencies, and all that? How do you handle that? It makes the thing more complex.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It will solve the problem. You see, like now, in that TVC studio now, you people are in now. If all of you there are whistleblowers on insecurity, a masterminder there will not dare do anything, because you will report the person. You will report the person masterminding insecurity to the police or the military without implicating yourself. You will be anonymous. You understand? You will not implicate yourself. The person, then the police or the army or any, whatever security agent will just come and take the person like that. This is what Napoleon Bonaparte said. He said, ability is nothing without opportunity. You understand? Whether the person is carrying AK-47, anything, superior weapon and what have you, if the person is reported and the person that reported that person is protected, the security agencies will just go to that person and pick you. You will see there will be peace in the country. It's because of the commercialization of this fight against insecurity that is causing the problem. Some people have now made it kind of a business venture.
Yes.
But if the president takes up the challenge and then enthrone this anonymous mailing crime report system, so that everybody will be involved in crime fighting.
Okay.
That is what I'm about.
Okay, I would like to ask you again. When you look at the activities of bandits over the years, and you see the narrative from, official quarters, they are saying there's no need to, label these people as terrorists, even though they are carrying out the kind of attacks terrorists, do. How do you see this?
No.
Is it the right thing?
They can be labeled. Yeah, they can be labeled. That is the perpetrators. We are not talking of the masterminds. How do you get the masterminds? How do you get the masterminds of banditry? You see, the foot soldiers are different from perpetrators and the masterminds. The foot soldiers are just the perpetrators. They send them. They were sent. You understand? But this policy we are trying to push is going to target the masterminds. That is the problem. The problem we are having in the country is that we are chasing the perpetrators. If you kill a bandit today, the perpetrator will recruit another bandit. That is the problem. That is just the problem. And some people will make will set up business from it. But if we have all Nigerians involved in the fight against insecurity, it will end. It will end immediately. In fact, before 2023, we'll be talking of the president winning Nobel Peace Prize.
I want to thank you, security expert. Thank you so much from Abuja, security expert Emeka Oraotoka. Thank you for your contribution. Now, moving on. Rather than the use of force, dialogue could be deployed to settle separatist agitations in Nigeria, according to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. The federal government is not ruling out the possibility of a political solution to cases involving Nnamdi Kanu of the indigenous people of Biafra and Sunday Adeyemo, popularly called Sunday Igboho, if anybody or any group comes up with such proposal. Meanwhile, 3 senior advocates of Nigeria, Femi Falana Ebun Adigborua and Ifedayo Adedikbe, asked the government to be quick about having dialogue with the various secessionist groups and the arrowheads in the country. Yes?
I think Malami is trying to be clever by half. What he said is that there is a possibility if some people can come up with that proposal. That's what he's saying. He's not saying that...
So what's the implication?
He's not saying that government has a position to negotiate with the separatists. He said there are two different things. He said there is a possibility that government can agree to a political situation if some people can come up with a proposal. I think that can't work. Government must be able to convince itself that there is need to negotiate with the separatists. Because you have to ask yourself the question, again, I go to the cause and effect. What we are seeing with this separatist group is the effect of years of neglect and agitation. And some people within the Nigerian Federation believe that they are being marginalized and there's a need for them to opt out of that federation. So, the government is only concerned about the effect of such agitation. It's important for us to look at the causes of those agitation. And the only way you can do that is to negotiate. I agree that the government must not allow any group of people, no matter how angry they are, for them to dismember the Nigerian state. I will not support that. And I think the government must be firm in saying you cannot dismember the Nigerian state. But while you are going to be firm in protecting the territorial integrity of the Nigerian state, you must be able to dialogue with the component units within that federation who feel aggrieved for one reason or the other. You can sit with them and say, okay, look, these are things that we think is not right. And government will now be able to come up with ways to assuage such feelings. We have done it before. It worked in the Niger Delta, and it can work again.
Kule, do you think if they're saying that they're even ready to dialogue, do you think these agitators, they want to sit down in the round table and they want to sit down in Nigeria. Somebody like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now, he doesn't believe in that word, Republic of Nigeria. His own mandate, he has been saying it, and he has not stopped short of saying it. He's not saying this country is short-changing the Igbos. That what he's saying expressly is that Biafra or nothing.
That is what he wants. But it is left to government. First of all, you can't just rely only on force. This is not a government, as far as I know this government, that will achieve that dialogue with IPOB, Igboho and co. When you look at the track record of this government, you know what happened to Sunday Igboho. You know what happened to Nnamdi Kanu. I'm saying before he fled Nigeria. You get my point. So this government doesn't have, I think I have not seen the character in this administration trying to negotiate. No, it's this or nothing. This is a government that, you know, see what happened to Igbo. The government, the security agents invaded his home, killed people, did all sorts of things, and which is criminal in nature. Now, you say you want to dialogue. Before I can dialogue with you, there's this feeling of trust, this feeling of sincerity. How will it come from? Will it just jump from the heaven? You that you love to do this, do that. So, this malami of a man, I don't think, whenever he says things like this, I don't take it serious. Because it's not categorical. It's like just saying something that means nothing. That, okay, some people will come up with the proposal. What's the job of people in government? You have done force and force and force. Has it worked? Then you evaluate that, okay, having done this over the years, have we recorded, you know, success? If we have not, okay, what do we do? Look at the case of Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu had been around before this government, but it was not this powerful until during this, you know, administration.
Absolutely.
You get my point? It was this government that made Nnamdi Kanu an important person to some people or to many people. You get my point? Sunday Igboho, I'm sorry to say, was a nobody in Yoruba land.
That's not sorry there.
Was a nobody in Yoruba land. This government made him who he is. So the job of government is to say, not force. No. There are times, like Sunday Igboho, well, what do you want? There are leaders all over Yoruba land. Talk to him, do this. You can do everything, even without, you know, the camera.
Sunday Igboho is not even the only, it's the Odua group. He said there's a group that's fighting for Odua's nation. So Sunday Igboho just happened to
be the face of it. So yes. If you take Sunday Igboho out, there are many other ones possibly that want to do something similar.
So we should concentrate on those who want Odua nation.
We should go to the root cause. And when people are saying government is marginalizing them, that this is happening, that government should take a look at what is happening. If there are things you can amend, if there are things you can change, if there are sacrifices, give and take and all those things. If you are not doing all those things, and you said, I don't believe you. Whenever Malami talks, I don't take him serious. I'm sorry to say.
Actually, now the Attorney General is saying that it's not ruling out the possibility of a political solution. A lot of people are saying that this is the best way out, that if we continue to go to court, the court session might just take like forever before we can resolve the cases we have in court.
I can see where the minister is coming from, and let's not forget that the minister is not the only person in government. Even if we believe that he's one of the hawks in the administration, I think history tells us that at some point in the life of an administration, it will feel the need to negotiate, especially if it cannot solve a problem. It will feel the need to negotiate and then see what happens thereafter. The minister didn't just say that, oh, we are ready to negotiate. He made the point that some conditions must be present before that kind of dialogue or negotiation or political solution happens. And I can understand what he's trying to say, that if some individuals step forward to say, look, on the Kano matter, for example, that this is what we have come up with. We have spoken with Kano in detention. He is willing to renounce armed struggle against the Nigerian state. He is willing to disband the groups that he had set up to confront the Nigerian state. Then it may become necessary to give such dialogue a chance. And we have seen this administration do that. When the Niger Delta Avengers were bombing our pipelines, they were bombing our export terminals. On this program, I advise that military cannot solve that problem. And the Niger Delta is not an area where you simply throw bombs all around. Even during the Civil War, the Niger Delta area was a challenge to Nigeria. Any historian who read about the Civil War will remember that the Niger Delta area was a big challenge to Nigeria during the Civil War. At some point, it became clear to the administration that, look, dialogue will solve this problem. At that point, the Vice President and the then Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Bekachiku, reached out to these elements who were bombing our pipelines. And at the end of the day, the whole thing stopped. The sabotaging of Nigerian economy, to the point that we came at some point, we came down to like 500,000 barrels a day. A country with an OPEC quota in excess of 2 million barrels, coming down to about 500,000. So we knew that we needed to solve the problem, and quietly they solved that problem, and we saw the result. It is possible to do the same thing in the case of these agitators. I have said that it is not true that IPOB does not have people who can talk to them and they will listen. We saw that with what happened in the last election in Anambra. People like Chukwemeka Ezeife, the former governor, these are individuals that the IPOB guys still respect. And when you want to reach out to them, of course, you can use such people and then the Ohanese leadership as well. So if they could talk to IPOB to revoke a sit-at-home order, which was done to frustrate the election, and they listened, it means that there's a ray of hope there. It means that these guys, if we pursue that option, we could eventually put an end to the needless killings in the southeast. But of course, one thing is clear. Nobody negotiates from a position of weakness. The government will want to see what concessions the agitators are going to bring forward before they can then decide that, okay, it's worth listening to these guys, it's worth solving this problem. After all, Colombia, after more than 60 years of fighting the rebels, the FARC rebels, have realized now that it makes sense to sit at the round table. And because of that, the killings have gone down drastically because they've begun to engage these guys. So, in all wars, or let me say in most wars, you still end up at the round table. And I believe that was what the minister said. He was not ruling anything out. He was not ruling anything in. He was trying to be safe by saying, look, if we get a very serious proposal, we will take a look at it. That was the point I was making, and I agree with him.
Okay, I have joining us for more discussion on this is Richard Akinola, senior journalist. Thank you for joining us.
All right.
Yes. Uncle Richie.
Yes.
Now, how do we get out of this situation? Do you think the court cases should be allowed to run its course or a political solution?
Every treason case is a political case. It's not like any other case. It's purely politics. From even from Taka, treasonable felony trial, then to treasonable felony trial. I mean, all are political cases. And up to Henry Oka. Remember, even Henry Oka's case is even similar to this Nnamdi Kanu's matter. Henry Oka was was extradited actually from Angola in September 2007 and brought to Nigeria. And he was charged with treason. And he was being tried in Jos, at the Jos High Court. Then Yar'Adua came in, and as part of his efforts of rapprochement and on how to douse tension in Nigeria, he decided to grant amnesty. And in 2009, the treason charges were withdrawn, and Justice Mohammed Lehman freed Henry Oka, and Oka became the first beneficiary of the amnesty, and that was how the amnesty exercise commenced. So, and I think the same scenario we are facing now, every war still has to come back to negotiating table. So I believe that nothing is impossible. Instead of going through all this legal rigmarole, which may be on for the next 2 or 3 years, and then it's better if there is such possibility, like the Attorney General has said. Well, fine enough. I mean, it saves all the time, saves all the trouble, saves tension. I mean, tension goes down, everything. But as I think as Kolade was saying, that nobody negotiates from the point of weakness. So I think, again, I mean, that is very important, because who initiates this process? Because Attorney General cannot just go and finally prosecute for nothing, just for the fun of it. Who initiates the whole process? So, and I know that a lot of Southeast leaders have been asking for the release of Kanu. Perhaps if they initiate this thing, okay, let's sit down, let's discuss. Because at the end of the day, all these issues we're talking about is all about discussion, whether it's Nnamdi Kanu, whether it's Igboho on the Yoruba nation or whatever. Whether we like it or not, the consciousness is there. Igbo nation, Yoruba nation, yes, it may not be actualized, but the consciousness is there. I mean, we cannot, I mean, we cannot wish that away. So the issue of settling the matter out of court is a strong possibility, and I think it's a better way to go.
So,
okay. Oh, sorry, Richie. I'm looking at it from this position. You know that because of the activities of IPOB, a lot of leaders in the Southeast have been held hostage. They may not like what IPOB is doing, but they cannot talk, because part of the modus operandi of IPOB is to use violence to make everybody to comply with the agitation. You know, so how do you raise people that will negotiate on behalf of IPOB when IPOB themselves are be able to put a lot of people, apart from some people like Esefe and some few people, a lot of leaders are scared of IPOB instead of showing leadership. What's your take on that?
That's a major challenge, no doubt about it. In fact, if you take it from what happened the last sitting, for example, the hardline position of Kanu's lawyers by walking out from the court, I mean, because of non-admittance of the U.S. attorney. And yes, which that has further raised other controversies that why was it denied or not. But again, I go back to Awo's case. In 1993, Awo invited a Queen's Counsel from UK as his counsel, as defense counsel, but he was denied entry by the immigration. So Awo went to court. That's the case of Abufana Awolowo versus Minister of Internal Affairs. The court ruled against Awo, it went up to Supreme Court. The panel was headed by the then CGN, Adetokunbo Ademola. I still ruled against Awo that, look, somebody who was not called to bar to practice in Nigeria cannot come and defend anybody or handle any case. So, and when you see that the hardline position taken by the council in that matter, and that further reinforces, that just as you said, it appears the situation is not as simple as we are looking at it. Yes, I agree with you, Mayor, that a number of people have been cowed, by the excessive use of force by IPOB, and maybe that's why some of them, just come and say, okay, let's and they do this and that. But that's a possibility that they may not actually, mean it from the bottom of their heart, because they too are afraid of their lives. But that's a different thing entirely itself, because whether Kanu is released or not, even if eventually he's released or the matter is settled out of court, I think Southeast can never be the same again, because now we are not even too sure who is, because I suspected, as I said before, that what is happening in Southeast may be under Syria, because when the issue of against Assad started, it was just by one opposition body. Eventually, splinter groups, arose, and today we'll see what the situation is in Libya. So that's why you have Biafran national. Because if at all Kano is the EU is negotiated and taken out of court, there are other elements. Because I'm aware there was a group of guys in Biafra, even from Jonathan time, that were charged to court for treason. For different group itself, not IPOB, because they went and see the radio station in I think Anambra State.
Yeah.
And the leader is actually a lawyer. They were charged to court, and the case dragged on for too long. And I don't know exactly what has happened to that case. So beyond Nnamdi Kanu, even if the matter is settled out of court, the issue is that what happens to other groups? What happens to other groups that are other splinter groups that I imagine? So how do you negotiate with those groups again, which is a major challenge?
But I don't know if you want to ask Richard Akinola, if you want to ask him a question.
I want to add that in this kind of issue, when it comes to political negotiation, coming to the round table, the issue of trust is a big deal. Are you seeing a possibility in this kind of atmosphere when trust is not something that is easy to get between the parties? Are you saying it's possible within this atmosphere we find ourselves?
I think the issue of trust is very key, no doubt about it. Because due to the rhetoric of IPOB, they don't trust the government, and I'm not too sure if the government actually trusts that, okay, assuming that we're able to negotiate this matter out of court and this guy is, the matter is withdrawn as is freed, then what happens if he goes back? Like, the last time when he was granted bail and before the thing snowballed into a major military operation there, then what happens again to other splinter groups within that zone that have come up, that outside IPOB, but still on the area of Biafra? So how are you going to negotiate with those people again? That's why I use the Syrian example. That is a very complex situation, because you can negotiate with one group, just like you have Boko Haram, you have the ISWAP. So there are different level of groups that you have to negotiate with. Even though we know that Kanu is the most popular of all of them, but the issue that I still believe that the issue of set out of court cannot be ruled out. But again, as you mentioned, the issue of trust is very key.
I want to thank you. We call him Elder in our circles. We remember where they call him Elder. Thank you, Elder, for your contribution.
Thank you.
All right, and finally, since politics is an interest-driven game, politicians further their nests where their interests are best served. Governors in Nigeria are miffed by a decision of the National Assembly to make direct mode of party primary is compulsory in the Electoral Act. In the latest salvo, the Progressive Governors Forum labeled members of the National Assembly as products of the same indirect primary they now want to jettison for direct primary. They accused the federal lawmaker of smuggling the controversial clause into the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. It's a festering of crisis. It's a festering crisis that is difficult to predict who blinks first or have the last laugh. I remember the fate of the Electoral Act last time. After the back and forth, it got to Mr. President, and the reason that Mr. President, the presidency cited some typographical errors, cited some things that were not so palatable in that thing. That is how the whole efforts.
He actually talked about time, that the time before the election,
the whole effort.
that was the major
and the same fate will still affect this one too.
Mr. President did not sign. Now, we have a situation whereby the National Assembly bloc, the caucus of the All Progressive Congress, they are together in this because of, they say, the larger interest of Nigerians. But the governors, the Almighty Governors Forum, powerful bloc, they're now saying that, look, Mr. President, don't sign.
That's what I'm saying, that the same fate may still affect this too. Yeah. Because the governors, you see, because the way Nigerian president, for example, will probably be one of the most powerful presidents in the world. You know, our president is like a king. He can do so many things. Okay. You understand? So, and when you get to the state, the governors are very powerful.
And when pressure on him.
Yes, when the governors come together and then put pressure on the Attorney General, because the Attorney General is the one that will advise. Normally, when they send it to the president will send it to the Attorney General for advice. So if the Attorney General advises, sir, I don't think you should sign this, the president will probably not sign it. And the governors have a lot of influence. They are powerful enough to be able to influence the Attorney General. And then again, there is this rumor that the Attorney General wants to run for governorship in his state.
In
Kebbi State. He wants to run for governorship in Kebbi State. And you know, politics is about interest. If you want to run for governorship in Kebbi State, you cannot succeed without the support of the governor of Kebbi now, who is on ground. You understand? So, and is the governor
from his own
senatorial district,
from his own ward, from the local government,
and is the
from
governor,
his own units,
and is the governor of Kebbi,
that is the chairman of APC.
Is the one that was mandated by the Governors Forum to convince the Attorney General to advise the president not to sign. But you see, I can understand why the governors are scared. We have to tell ourselves the truth. Politics in Nigeria is not about who is more popular or more acceptable to the people. It is somebody who has the capability to influence the process. That's the person that gets elected. That's why you see that when people talk, they will say, oh, they are very popular. But you have election, and the number of people voted is almost
I don't understand.
Nothing. They did a primary in APC. Primary in APC. And the APC candidate scored over 200,000 votes.
Or said to have scored over 200,000
yes, that's what I'm saying. Within his own party.
Claimed to have scored.
Within his own party.
That's what they said.
Within his own party. They did the primaries. Now, in the general election, the guy got 40-something votes. Because even members, they are trying to tell us that even those who his supporters, who are members of his party, on election, they did not even vote for him. Because in most times, in indirect primaries, you understand, it is easy to manipulate the process. For example, the governor in a state, for example, may determine those who are going to be delegates who are going to go to that election.
There are some people that are called statutory delegates.
They'll be able to go there. Then even they can influence, they will pick those who is their own. So that is why you know that when they are doing primaries, it is who can control the delegates. You see some people, they will go and hide their delegates in one hotel and then bring the delegates so that you won't be able to influence them monetarily, with monetary inducements. But when you do direct primaries, what we are saying is that all members of the party using the register of the party can come out and openly line behind the person they want to support. So it is very difficult to manipulate that.
Jide, let me go to Jide first. Let me take reaction from Jide. Because we started this thing, this is like the third time on this topic. It's as if the National Assembly, before even meeting with the Vice President, before that meeting was held and everything, the members of the National Assembly just did what they had to do and that it was passed.
I didn't hear you.
What I'm asking you, your reaction to this controversial direct primary, this clause that was inserted into our Electoral Act.
Yes, the National Assembly members, the APC caucus of the National Assembly realized that they had this power that they had not used for so long. Not everyone is prepared to be the slaves of governors. Governors in our country see themselves as God with a small letter G. And we had APC World Congresses. The governors quarantined the federal lawmakers in their states. The governors, if they were allowed to continue along this path, I can tell you that more than half, if not more than 3/4 of the federal lawmakers from the APC control states will not return to the National Assembly. So it was a choice that was easy for the federal lawmakers to make. Do we simply lay back and allow governors to destroy our political future? Because it got to the point that even governors were determining those who would supervise the congresses in their respective states. They were forwarding names. The same people who supervised the registration of party members were the same people returned to supervise the congresses in the respective states. This was the way the governors wanted it, which means that they will only do the bidding of the governors. That is not democracy. I hear people say, oh, indirect, direct primaries will alienate, would cause many people to spend money, will make INEC, will stretch the capacity of INEC. Of course, these governors will come and say all of those things because this decision took them by surprise. And when they summoned the meeting with the federal lawmakers, the lawmakers stood their ground. Late last week, stood their ground and went ahead the next day, the day after that meeting, to have it passed. Look at someone like Danjuma Goje in Gombe State. He knows that he's finished politically if this direct primary thing does not work. Because it is clear that a governor that is governor in a state does not want him to return to the Senate.
He doesn't want him to even visit the state.
He was traveling to his home state and he was waylaid. He was traveling for the wedding of his granddaughter and they stopped him. They said he will not enter Gombe. That's a person who was governor and made the current governor commissioner when he was governor. The excessive use of power by governors was what brought about the idea of direct primaries. Now I know they are going to pile pressure on the president to not give his assent.
That's what we are going to
do.
If
I were the president, I will go ahead and give my assent. Let everyone go and test his popularity. The direct primary module is the most participatory, is the best way of affirming the popularity of a candidate. If you are a card-carrying member, then you are free to vote.
Okay.
Not a situation in which governors determine delegates. Delegates at the primary level. It is that power to singularly determine delegates that they are desperate to hold on to. That's why they are insisting that they don't want direct primary. They don't want direct primary. Why are you constituting yourself to God? To God's in your state?
I'm listening.
For me, Adekunle, this is like, to me, my own interpretation of this is that this is petty on both sides. This is high power politics within the All Progressive Congress, as far as my investigation has shown. Do you understand? And it should not be brought into our electoral acts. You have three model of primaries. Is either direct or indirect or consensus that APC used to have before. Why don't you allow the political parties to go and decide however they want to choose their nominees?
That is the exact point I wanted to make.
What do you want to put it in the electoral act?
The Yorubas will say, Ori bibe, kologun ori fifo. The system we have on the ground may not be perfect. I don't know anyone who has participated in direct primaries and will come out to tell me that it's a better option to indirect primary. It's a worse version of indirect primary. I'm talking from experience. You get my point? Not just report. I'm talking from experience. Number one, when they tell you direct primary, if you base your knowledge on textbook definition of direct primary, to participatory, good. I love that. But come to our country, go and participate. What we have is we are having problem with our politics. There used to be what they call party discipline. Do you have today? Do you have it today? There is what they call party supremacy. Do you have anything like that today? So since you don't have that, so what the governors and the National Assembly, members are fighting is just petty politics that do me, I do you, which to me, number one, in any state, is it part of our system to make the governors the leader of the party in the state? So the governor is bigger than the party in the state. At the national level, the president is bigger than the party. Let's be realistic.
That is it. Yes, that's it.
So these are the problems we need to solve. Now, in each party, how much of internal democracy do you have? That's the soul of democracy. Because from there, leadership recruitment begins from there.
Before we go to Abuja,
so when you look at this, you now say, go and look at it. Everywhere they did direct primary. It's pure fraud. Pure fraud.
Okay, my own is not.
And I'm coming, when you now look at INEC, our law says when you do primaries, you bring in INEC
just to supervise it.
Capacity,
INEC will be the one to conduct this.
The party itself, INEC, all of them, there is no capacity, to do what they call election, primary election. So all you have is you just bring in figures and tell people you've done it.
My own take is that I have to disagree with you a little bit. I think direct primaries is better than indirect. It's more participatory because we have done it before during the time of IBB. Then they call it option A4. Yeah. And it came out, yes, and it
which
came out,
we abandoned.
That's what I'm saying. We didn't use it then, and it worked because we were able to appoint people that were actually popular or wanted by the people. Option A4 is still better. That is the same option A4 that was used for Mabiola and all of them. Because it worked. It's not as if it cannot work. The only difference in direct primary is that you are part of the democracy is that ability to choose without being put under pressure to show your preference, which you cannot do under direct primary. Because under direct primary, you will say, okay, candidate A. People will line up and say, we are for candidate A. So people will have it. But you see, what that will do, what that helps is that it will reduce this idea of people buying votes, because you cannot collect money now and go and stay behind another person. You understand? But the only problem I think is better, because you see the problem with the indirect primaries is that the governors are all in all, they determine who are the delegates. It's so simple. And when they determine the delegates, so what you negotiate, even at the presidential level, is how many states you can get.
Finally, let's go to Jide.
But I don't think it should be in the,
I don't know if you
I
want
don't
to,
think it is right to put it in the act.
Okay, if you want to counter my own argument of this electoral act thing, that it should be the headache of APC or PDP,
yes, it shouldn't
how
be
they choose their candidates, while putting it on the general electoral act.
Well, the federal lawmakers have power to amend the constitution.
Yeah.
They have power to make laws. So I wonder why we will appoint people as our lawmakers, as our ears and ears in the National Assembly, and people will be wondering why they are doing their work. Why should governors, you people in the studio have not addressed how governors have turned themselves to gods in their states and are singularly determining who succeeds them and who becomes a candidate in an election.
Yes.
Why do you think the APC lawmakers got to this point? A governor from the Northwest decided that all the senators from his state must not return to the National Assembly because he had the power to handpick delegates.
Yes.
What sort of nonsense is that?
Delegates is not good. The governor will just speak.
What is politics? What is democracy? If individuals will by themselves singularly pick people, was it like that during Awolowo's time? No, you've got to, even if Awo had preferences for people, he will go and preach to people that this is my candidate.
And a lot of times, even
governors are doing things alone.
But this was not the kind of politics we played then. We have to agree. Even if we continue with direct primary, I can guarantee you, those who fund the party, the governors, will still have the upper way. I mean, the upper hand. Or whoever is the big
but
man.
it's not why
At
it
the
will
end
be
of the day,
difficult.
and what can they will do everything they want to do, and they will still get whatever they want.
Not necessarily.
They will.
Not necessarily. Let me tell you why it's not necessary.
Okay.
Because you see, when you're doing direct primaries, it's easier because one, the number of delegates,
the man on the streets that will come and
you can pick in the direct primary. Everybody that is a card carrying member
will come.
That makes it more difficult for you to be able to influence the process. That's why they don't want to take it. Because, for example, let me tell you something. Let's say in Lagos State, for example, we want to do direct primaries. You understand? It is registered that in Ikeja local government, we have 100,000 members or 50,000 members, card-carrying members, because there's a register of all registered members. You understand? And then we want to do an election. It will be difficult for the governor, for example, to determine everybody or the political group within the political group in that state. It will be more. It's not as if they may not succeed, but it will be more difficult for them to be able to control the entire process. Because, for example, if we let's say in Ojodu, for example, let's say members in Ojodu, we don't agree with this candidate. We say, no, this is our own candidate. We live in Ojodu. This is the person that we want.
The majority.
So you understand? If you tell us to do direct primary, we will defeat you because we have the numbers there.
But why?
The only difference in the thing is that people may not have that privacy and to be able to protect their choice. But in terms of participating democracy, direct primary is better than indirect primary.
Okay, I think the ball will now move to the president.
The president for answer, yeah. But I believe that he will not give that answer.
We spent money, we've done so many things, and according to Jide, are you still there? Do you see the president signing this? That this will not go, because the problem, if the president does not sign, it will affect every other law and every other recommendation. That it might be a case of throwing away the baby and the bathwater.
No one is sure. The governors have a history of piling pressure on the president and pushing him to not decide. When the president came up with that executive order to give autonomy to the legislature and the judiciary. The governors went to him, as selfish as they are, ever selfish. They went to the president and stopped him from gazetting that order. And the president did not do anything. He took the strike. He took the strike by workers for us to now have that autonomy for legislature and the judiciary. Why are governors behaving like this? If it was possible, how can you have a situation in which an individual handpicks, cherry picks people who will go and determine who contest an election? Is that what the framers of our law envisaged? Did they envisage that governors will be behaving like a Greek god and simply go and be choosing candidates by themselves? Just themselves?
Yeah, thank you.
So that is the thing.
Adekunle Yusuf, I want to thank you. Thank you for your contribution. And thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
It's a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
BKO from Abuja, thank you. We keep keeping track of on this, and let's see if Mr. President will ultimately
but the president surprise us for once and sign this.
Just before we go, I'd like to give this special birthday shout out to Anu Oluwapo Zubakun. Anu Oluwapo is 10 today. Anu Oluwapo, we wish you success, good life, and many happy returns. Mayor,
you will succeed more than your father. I'm praying for Anu Oluwapo.
Yes.
Okay.
That he will grow to succeed more than the father.
More than the father.
And she will, in the fullness of time, be able to fulfill her destiny.
By the grace of God, I will say Odun.
Vicky, to you too.
Thank you. Let's also let's express our condolence to the Chief of Army Staff over the loss of a general and brigade commander. We shall defeat the terrorists who are holding our country to ransom.
Inshallah.
And the blood of this general shall not be shed in vain.
Amen. Amen.
The blood of other soldiers shall not be shed in vain.
And that's our contribution today.
Nigeria.
Join us tomorrow for the regular episode of Journalist Hangout. That's by 5 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. See you tomorrow by 5 p.m.